I love that you reference science fiction because I always think that one of the best ways to understand or look at the future is to read science fiction and pay attention to science fiction movies and stories, because so much of what we see in science fiction, we've actually been able to develop a lot of those concepts and themes, and we kind of strive to do a lot of what science fiction has talked about, decades ago. And listening to you talk reminded me of a book that I recently read. I don't know if you've read it, called Ready Player One. And you talked about these three ways that we're kind of changing and evolving and able to change ourselves and manipulate ourselves. But one of the things that I'm curious to hear about is if virtual reality is a part of that. And I'll tell you why I'm asking that. So in this book, Ready Player One, it's a science fiction book where the author depicts a world in the future where the majority of our time is actually spent in a virtual reality instead of the real one. And the real world is crumbling around us as we all strive and put all of our time and money into living in this new virtual world that is amazing, where we can upgrade ourselves, where we can, be who we want, and basically create any type of a world that we want. So do you see virtual reality as a potential threat where one day that's kind of the only reality that we might want to be a part of and kind of neglect the physical world around us?
I think this is a possible scenario, even a very likely scenario.
What does this mean for privacy and security? And also, there's this human component there, right? I mean, the human has to be willing to wear these devices. The human has to be willing to participate. So I find that even though technology can progress to a certain level, we still need human buy-in, right? I mean, humans have to opt in. They have to be willing to do these things. So where does that play into all this?
Well, I think the big battle in the 21st century regarding privacy will be between privacy and health. If you're willing to give up your privacy and to connect to these biometric sensors and to allow some algorithm to collect all these biometric data about you, in exchange, you will get amazing healthcare. The algorithm will be able, for example, to detect when cancer is just beginning. You don't feel anything, you don't know something is wrong with you, but the algorithm, based on the biometric data, it already knows, oh, cancer is beginning to spread in your liver or something. And it will detect it at such an early stage that it will be very easy and cheap to cure this cancer. And similarly, it will protect you against many other kinds of danger and will provide you with much, much better healthcare than ever before in human history. In exchange, you will just have to give up your privacy. And I think that most people, when they have a choice between privacy and health, they will choose health. And this will be the great, not threat, but the one thing that will bring the end of privacy is our desire for better health.
Well, first of all, it should be clear that the role of leadership and making policy should be firmly in the hand of politicians, not in the hands of corporations or even in the hands of scientists. Private businesses and also scholars, they don't represent the public. They have their jobs, which are important, but ultimately it's politicians who are supposed to represent the interests of humans, and they should be the one who are leading. With regard to technology, technology is obviously the key. It created the problem in the first place. It's also a key to the solution, but by itself, technology is never a solution, because every technology can be used for good or for ill. It depends on how you do it, on which interests you take into account. So yes, we need people to work on the technological aspects, but we need the politicians to direct it in the right way for the benefit of the greatest number of people and of the entire ecosystem. And, one of the biggest dangers in the technological utopianism that, oh, the technology will solve it, is a kind of Noah Ark syndrome, like in the Bible with the flood, that yes, eventually they built an ark, but just for 5 people or something like that. Right. Almost everybody drowned. And there is a very big danger that with climate change, when people talk about what's our future going to be like, there is no us, there is no our future. Humanity might divide into a majority maybe of people who would suffer tremendously, and a minority that will have the resources, the wealth, the technology to protect themselves and even flourish in some kind of technological Noah's Ark. And this is extremely dangerous. Again, I think one of the reasons that we don't see enough urgency from leaders, from business elites and so forth, is that in the back of their mind, they are counting on a technological Noah's Ark. And that's very, very dangerous.
His Israeli roots are of crucial importance to the formation of his view of the future. He's now using all of that knowledge to give us his vision for the future.
With especially the rise of brain-computer interfaces and biometric sensors and so forth, it is very likely that within, say, 50 years, people will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net, because your own body parts, your own immune system, perhaps depends on being constantly connected to the colony, to the network. The new powers that we are gaining now, especially the powers of biotechnology and artificial intelligence, are really going to transform us into gods. And I don't mean this as a kind of literary metaphor. I mean it in the literal sense, that humans are acquiring divine abilities, especially the ability to create and to design life. Not everybody will be able to upgrade themselves, and not everybody will have access to or have control over the new big data algorithms. Of 8 billion people in the world, the vast majority will stay just ordinary Homo sapiens, and they are likely to lose their economic value, their political power, their control over their lives. And we are likely to see an extremely unequal society in which a very small elite, either of upgraded humans or of those humans who own the master algorithms, like the Google algorithm or the Facebook algorithm,